Welcome to Uncanny X-Minutes, where we bring you the comics behind the movies. I'm producer James.
And I'm Stasia.
And we're here to talk about X-Men First Class minutes 80 through 90.
Yeah, you want to know what happens?
What happens?
The Bay of Pigs is about to start. Beast discusses a cure with Mystique, and then he turns blue.
He does.
He does.
And we talked about that. Season 2.
In X2, we talked about it.
Because there was one shot of him, human form, looking like classic Silver Age Beast.
Yes. The Many Faces of Dr. Hank McCoy's name of that podcast episode, if you want to go look it up.
Good pull.
That is not what we're talking about today.
No. I might sting it with something similar, but
yeah.
But if you want to know how he goes from human to gray to blue to furry feline to a gorilla man, that's all in that episode.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of story in that one.
That's not what we're talking about.
No, let's just talk about him.
We're talking about him, and we're also talking about, let's say, his suaveness, his penchant with the ladies, perhaps.
What is with X-Men and suave blue men?
I don't know, but it clearly works.
Somebody has a fetish, and I'm all right with it.
Like Nightcrawler and Beast. They're just like pulling the ladies, man.
Obviously, his first appearance was in X-Men #1.
Yeah.
He's been there since the beginning. Founding member of the X-Men, frequent member of the Avengers.
Yes.
And a bunch of other teams. Like, he's been on the Defenders. He's been on every X-Men has, like, if they leave the team, they've been on a cavalcade of different teams. And then they always come back to the X-Men.
Correct.
And he's been back for quite some time.
Yes. And he's also been on X-Force. Yeah. But that's like within X-Men.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
before he gets furry.
And the Illuminati.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the Illuminati.
He's part. One of these, like, probably what I've already called dibs on this credit sequence, but on a future one, we may have to talk about the Illuminati.
I would love.
No, you know what we're doing. I know. I already know what we're doing. It's way in the future.
Yeah.
I say we do the scenes from MCU movies that include X-Men characters.
100%.
In which case, we already have one.
And we're going to talk about it.
And we'll talk about it then.
Oh my God, it's so good. Anyway, I am desperate for X-Men content in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I know, we're just getting little crumbs, and I'm just thank you, sir. Can I have some more?
Really, I'm trying not to startle Disney.
Though. We'll say it right now. We're pre-Doomsday for those in the future, so we don't have. We already know, they've said it on, and you've been under a rock on social media, basically not all the original, a bunch of the original X-Men are coming back for Doomsday.
Yes.
So, it's coming, it'll be there, but I want it now.
Right, and it's like, I've
switched from one musical to another, don't worry about it.
I've waited for so long, and here we are still. Though we'll get to these scenes. Anyway, cannot talk about the MCU right now. We have to talk about what the actual Beast
do it right, that's all I want, just do it right.
We'll see. Like, Beast has his powers, kind of a gymnast, big, strong man.
Mutant from birth.
He has, like...
big old hands, big old feet.
Yeah.
Prehensile toes, I guess, or whatever they're called. Like, he can grip with the toes.
Yeah.
He's got toe fingies, which in this movie, he has toe fingies.
And, yes, that I do not like.
You don't like those?
I don't like
That's how they would work, though.
No, he's just not like, okay, I really like...
He's got monkey feet. What do you want?
I really like the guy who plays Beast in these movies.
Yeah.
I do not like the size ratio. You know what I mean? Like, to me...
Which part? Like
he's too skinny.
Oh, yeah, no, he needs to be... So the way he's always been drawn, he should be like linebacker.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like gigantic.
Not a basketball player.
Like, he doesn't get four times bigger. Right. He just gets furry. He was just always shaped like that, though.
Why in X-Men 3, and we probably mentioned it then too, Kelsey Grammer is great.
Yes.
He looks broad.
Yeah.
And he looks like he could mess someone up.
That
movie did a lot of things wrong. Beast, they did so right.
It's very good. And that's the thing. And so
then when you switch from that to this, you're like, what are we doing?
But I think he's a great Hank McCoy. I think he plays it really really well, but
I think we have a lot more like broad-chested actors nowadays that could play it well and be eloquent.
Like, you need to give me a Henry Cavill-sized man. Like, you just have to. That's kind of the character.
Yeah.
And I think that's why his feet don't work for me in the show. It's because it's like he's got slimmer ankles and it's just jarring. Whereas in the comics, it's like, well, yeah, his toes are long, but his foot is gigantic. He's got a huge big. Foot. Like, and so it's
in Silver Age, it just looks like big feet. Right. But he can like scale full buildings, just like running up them with his toes.
So, do you know canonically what size foot he has? Because I do.
No, I don't know. What size shoe?
Go ahead and guess.
Oh boy, probably like a 25.
Size 13.
Oh, what? That's not that big.
Know. That's the size. It was so funny. Is
he just like a small dude?
So
that's not how. Okay.
So that's
guest on the show, Michael Richko.
Size 13.
I was so about to say.
So the only reason I know this is because me and my husband frequently have to help him get rare shoe drops.
I have done the same. That's why I'm pretty sure he's a 13.
I know. I texted him when I found this out when I was rereading stuff and getting this. I was like, do you know you have beast-sized feet? And I'm like, I'm not kidding. It's canon.
You should feel good about yourself now. You got beast-sized feet.
It's weird, right? Because he's drawn a certain way, but then it's like size 13, which I'm like, was this big in the 50s or like 60s or whenever? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand.
Feet gotten bigger over the years. I don't know.
Anyway, he also, according to Origins, Beast, he has a supercomputer brain. Also an inherent superpower.
It looks like in a different comic. Oh no, this is Earth 77013. He has a size 20 shoe.
Yeah, well,
that would be more reasonable.
6, it's 13.
That is what I was shooting for.
Yes, I think that they maybe made an error. This was
somebody
really
who has
early.
Like size 8 feet, and they're like, "Can you imagine someone having a 13?"
Yeah, this is like an early comic for sure, but that's what it says. That's what it says.
Amazing.
The character of Beast is pretty on point by the actor, but the frame, the size, like the imposingness of him.
The appearance is not there, but the character is basically, he's super smart and super strong. Not super strong. He's athletic. He's strong. He's like higher than average acrobatic.
Yeah. And as he gets older, as we leave the X-Men behind from their teenage years and we move into later Beast, he's suave. I would argue they're playing a lot with the concept of a bestial outside form and also an internal, like, very
he's very eloquent,
right?
Like, he's always using $5 words. Like, he's always talking in long, multisyllabic sentences, and he talks in such a way that you slow down when you're reading because you're like, what are you saying?
Right. But I think it's really compelling, right? Similar to Nightcrawler in a way where you have this contrasting external, internal, but just in a different way. Yeah. They liked that. Another blue guy. They do have a lot of similarities now that
There's
keep
a lot
talking
of blue.
about it.
In all fairness, he was gray to begin with.
That's true.
Printing issues.
As we proceed through this stuff, like he's kind of a ladies' man, I would argue. He goes on a lot of dates, and like his relationships are fraught. More so than Nightcrawler's in a lot of ways.
And never with Mystique. I'm just going to put that out there.
Or
if they were never a big thing.
Nightcrawler, it seems like all the women are just completely taken by him. And he's very just like, for the most part, not talking about his emo phase there for a little bit. He's kind of like cool. Like he's very confident in himself in a lot of ways. Beast struggles with like how he used to look, right? Because it's not the same. Like he had a change that was a little bit separated from his mutation, really. It's like a science experiment kind of gone wrong that, triggered another, I think at this point it's like a different secondary mutation.
Yeah.
Or whatever. At least that's what in the early 2000s, they go with that explanation.
Yeah, it was first science experiment. Second was secondary mutation. Third was complications due to secondary mutation.
Yes, that's where that ends up, right? And that's why he get the feline. Anyway,
I have a continuation of that story, but we'll talk about it later.
So let's talk about the ladies.
Ladies.
Okay. Have you heard of Jennifer Niles?
No.
Okay, that's X-Men Origins Beast, but also 1968's number 50, Uncanny X-Men, and Marvel Comics Presents 86 through 92.
Okay.
So this is like one of those post-issue shorts that then get expanded on in Origins.
Sure.
So that's basically what happens. You have this girl that he goes to high school with that is like his best friend, and he's falling for her there. She is eventually mind wiped by Xavier.
No, by Xavier? He would never.
Yeah.
Unless it already happened like an issue before.
Yeah. And then like, so it in the short, it's kind of in the blasé way that 1968 Xavier mind wipes people. It's like, this is better for your life.
Well, it was, we've brought it up before. It's back in the Secret Identity days.
Exactly. But then in Origins, they kind of expand upon it and talk a little bit about, it's like he meets her at a conference and there's like flashbacks and like, it's very interesting, but basically she kind of gets her memories back, and the reason that she's doing the research that she's doing is because she's fighting against the mind wipe. They like extend the story.
Of course.
Basically, it's a first love. It's a high school romance. She doesn't die, which is great.
Good.
Sometimes she's in college and she's like knows him, but then in some, which like in Unlimited in 2005, she like knows him and is in college, but they were not supposed to meet because of Origins. She also used to go by Mindy and now she's Jennifer. Her whole thing is pretty fraught.
Okay.
But I would say the kind of tragedy of her was, and I think the solid storyline that we have to go with is that they kind of were teenagers. He had a thing for her. They kind of start falling in love, and then she gets mind wiped by Xavier, and he has to leave for the X-Men, and so he leaves to become part of the X-Men.
To go to X-Men #1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's really interesting because I think like this is this character that was clearly a throwaway, and that they kind of just created this like kind of fraught, drawn out.
I do like the idea that the characters also need to have like clean breaks to join the X-Men, because before that, it's just like, oh, no, they joined.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you're a mutant. Come with these other mutants and we'll learn about our powers.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, you need to come, but you need to break all ties. Like, it becomes way more Cloak and Dagger at that point, but not the character's Cloak and Dagger. We're not talking about that.
But the vibes are there.
Yeah.
Yes. And it is really weird, right? Like, it's like this different. Like, even in when they do Origins, I think that the whole thing is that his parents were like, they were like, held at gunpoint, and like it just gets like there's just like silliness that is he breaks into like a facility to like steal something. Anyway, it's ridiculous. Like the facility is his dad's facility, and because he's working for a government agency, it like
I love going back and being like, oh, what was never explored, there was actually so much drama.
Yeah.
Like, no, come on.
And the 1968 is like, whoop, it's better if they don't remember. Let's go.
Yeah. And no one remembered.
Yeah. So that's pretty great. This is not in order. This is just in the order that
in vibes
I wanted to go in. Did you know he also dated Dazzler?
What was that? The storyline Beauty and the Beast?
It was.
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
Oh, you've heard of it. Okay. This is right after Dazzler is revealed to be a mutant and she's going through it. And they kind of have a brief fling. It was kind of seemed like it was setting up Post-Mini to maybe extend this relationship because she's invited to X Factor at the end of that mini. But you never get her response because they're having like a little private moment. They never resolved that until 2010. So,
and is this the like original X Factor? Where it's the original 5?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
So this is a long time.
And so like they're like, wait, why? Like, because when they start X Factor, she's not in it, and like part of this is because of what changed and priorities and like writing stuff, right? Like stuff that was happening behind the scenes.
Well, just because someone tees it up doesn't mean somebody else has to take it,
right?
You know?
And they didn't, right? And so in 2010, they kind of resolved this by just showing the rest of that scene. I think it's called, I have it written down here, it's like Marvel's Heartbreakers, so just like little like shorts or whatever.
Yeah.
It's her like turning it down. Which like makes it like that's the cleanest way to clean that up, right? Yeah, it totally
she says
makes
no.
sense. Yeah,
that's why she wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah.
And they kind of break up. Like that's it's cute. Like I mean the mini's cute, but it's like if you open that up now, given the age, I mean we talk about a lot of older comics, it doesn't really connect to too much that's going on that we've talked about really. And it really is truly a mini. Like they used to be a little bit more. Now I feel like if you miss like a sub thing, you can like miss actual like plot implications now for Marvel Comics. But back in the day, like minis and stuff, they used to kind of not.
They were self-contained.
Yeah. They used to legitimately be separate.
And now it's like, oh no, you have to read that mini because it's part of this other story.
The number of times I've accidentally opened a book and didn't realize that there was a mini series that I missed, and that's why I was confused, is insane. Truly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm going to throw one out there.
Yeah.
Just like everyone else, Beast was in love with Jean Grey at the beginning.
Yes, he was.
Everybody was.
I don't even think she's on my list.
Because it doesn't go anywhere.
Well, yeah.
Because it was a love triangle with Angel and Cyclops that later becomes a love triangle between Cyclops and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And Beast is never part of the equation.
Right.
Even Professor X was in love with her. Oops.
Yeah, that was bad. We've talked about this. That's...
Sorry.
Jean Grey, femme fatale.
I mean, when it's all boys and one lady walks in, va-va-va-voom.
Yeah, I mean, they were all teenagers too.
Yeah,
this is
except for Professor X.
Yeah, but like, you know, you're kind of like, okay, whatever. This like, you can consider that to be a school day crush, whatever. Move on with your life. But yeah, we do have to add Jean Grey to that list.
I just want to slip that in. They never dated, but he did have a big old crush on her because everybody did.
What do you know about Linda Donaldson?
Nothing.
Okay, so I don't know a ton about her. She revealed to be part of Hydra.
Fair.
Worked for Brand Corporation. And remember the name Brand?
Yep,
we will be returning to that.
That one I've been waiting for you to say. Yep.
And then this primarily happens like in Avengers.
Okay.
Which is why I'm not super familiar
I was going to say, same here.
Long story short, she's Hydra, so that goes badly because of that.
Oh, was she? So I'm just quickly looking up. So she was his assistant,
yes.
I think, during the storyline where he turns into the furry beast, the first one.
She is part of the group that is trying to get the serum, which is why he drinks it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That will. And also remember, he's working for what corporation?
That was Brand.
We shall return to that. The other dating person, Vera. You know this one.
Yes.
Vera Cantor.
Yeah.
Besties with Zelda.
Right. She is a librarian.
And Zelda is Bobby's ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
So this was in an era, kind of like early X-Men, where...
This is very Silver Age.
Yes, very Silver Age. And they're kind of just like... It's when they're kind of going on dates and then like... fight breaks out in the middle of the street. They're usually on a date with Vera and Zelda. It's
just what they are doing. They needed to spice up what they were doing. So they're like, well, they're dating these ladies. And then they leave mid-date most of the time.
They get in so much trouble so often with them because they will literally go to a date. Again, this is era of secret identities, right? They would go on a date. They go change in the bathroom. They leave to go fight and they come back disheveled.
My favorite was they were on a date with them and a villain shows up and they made a lame excuse to go and change into their costume. When they came back, Spider-Man had already defeated the villain.
I love that. But that's like kind of, would you blame these girls for dumping them later?
No,
not at all. It's absolutely deserved.
I mean, with Bobby's cold hands, come on.
I know. I will say there is a storyline. Like she comes back later and she is revived by Mimic by a resurrection stone. I literally
go on.
There's nothing to go on. That's it.
Okay.
Like, but I will say that like they tried to make her more of a character. She is not.
No.
But like she's so ubiquitous in early Silver Age. It's like you can't not name her. She just was the girlfriend. Her and Zelda were the girlfriends, and they were, not really relevant, but they were in the first panels and usually the last panels of that section where they're mad.
Right.
Like, I wish I could say that these people had more personality, but honestly, besides Dazzler, none of the ladies so far. But these are all quite early.
I was going to say Dazzler's her own.
Exactly.
She's her own lady.
I said except for Dazzler, who is very cool. Do you know about Trish Tilby?
Trish Tilby, you will find in the X-Men 97 show.
You will.
She's a reporter.
And she's also my number 2 snake.
Yeah. There's a couple. That one's right at the top for you.
Trish Tilby is a reporter who I literally have a line here that just says messy, because that is just true. So if you want some soap romantic longing, but also kind of people dating and also being terrible to each other, you should definitely look into Trish Tilby as a character and look at that kind of protracted relationship. So she's a reporter, and part of the issue with Trish Tilby is that she continually makes problems for mutants. She's like running the bad PR machine for mutants, but but I'm just doing my job while continually blowing their spot up. So for example, she is a reporter to reveal X Factor as fake mutant hunters. So just to touch on this really quickly.
Oh boy.
X Factor is the team, the original X-Men, after, Storm and her team come in, that are doing their own thing. They're pretending to be mutant hunters. So when mutant haters call into this phone number, they will show up and save the mutant instead of them sending somebody truly hateful. So she finds out about this and she's like, I have to reveal this to the public. They're lying.
Amazing.
She is also manipulated by Mystique, which is probably it's going to happen, but still...
in all fairness, Mystique is a very good manipulator.
She is, but then that means that she tells everybody that Warren is the one that is funding X Factor, blowing his secret identity and the source of their income.
Lovely.
For X Factor. Not great.
No.
Mind you, she's dating Beast. This is kind of weird for her to be doing.
Now, does she know Beast is in the team?
No, because I think sometimes he's not in the team.
Yeah. I guess it meant more like professor. The secret identity, She does. She does know that he's a mutant superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not cool.
It's not cool. She is also the person that reports that Moira McTaggart, a human, was infected with the legacy virus. That's basically what that created, was mass panic, because originally people were looking at the legacy virus is a analogy for the AIDS epidemic, particularly in the United States, and but
it only affected mutants.
It only affected mutants, and
which at the time Moira was human. We've learned later she actually is a mutant.
She is, but at the time, right? And
but I don't think they retconned it because of this.
No. No. But basically, she reports this, and that created huge hatred and mainstream panic, because it meant that regular humans, quote unquote, were getting infected by this mutant disease. You can hear the parallels, yes?
Yeah.
That's what they're blatant.
And if you don't know the parallels, look into history.
Look it up.
Google that one.
Pay attention in history class.
Yeah,
okay?
Right? Or if you're too young, ask your parents. And if you're my daughter, I'll tell you later.
But the point is, that actually gets her dumped by Beast.
I hope so.
By that report, because it literally creates this huge backlash against mutants or whatever. They get back together though, because they're messy.
Because messiness.
Because they're messy. And then finally, in
more messy news,
the Whedon run, she dumps Beast because mutant hatred has resurged.
Yeah.
And she's getting accused. Yeah. So I'm not even going to get into the reason why. She gets accused of being into bestiality. And it becomes a huge thing. I guess that is
that's the thing though. Bestiality is with animals. Animals do not talk and cannot give consent.
Right.
Beast can. Right. He just happens to have a genetic appearance to look like a beast.
Yeah, I would say that the protesters and the people they're talking about are people inspired. It's kind of giving the enemies of this era is kind of Westboro Baptist Church kind of thing.
And that's the thing. They don't go by logic.
Right. And so that's what's playing into it. But what's happening is she is still feeling that pressure, because it does spread, and it becomes because she's a public figure, she's a reporter.
Yeah.
So, and she's a video reporter. She's on camera. Yeah. It's not just writing for the paper. She's legitimately on camera.
People know what she looks like.
Yeah. And so it becomes this pressure cooker, comes too much, and then she dumps him, and it's this really sad. And she tells him why. She tells him it's because of that.
It's not me, it's you.
Literally. Horrendous. Like Trish
That's
Tilby
so bad.
is like takes L after L after L, and then it's just like, you know what? It's you, not me. And then just like washes her hands of it. I literally cannot stand her.
I remember watching X-Men 97 with you, and you're just like, oh, Trish is on the screen.
X-Men 97 has both my snakes in it. That's how you know the show is good. They know who should be the bad guys.
Yeah.
And she is kind of a bad guy.
She's not painted in a different light at all.
No. Anyway. Oh, goodness. So that is the second most important person that Beast has dated or been romantically involved in. The first, and I said we'd come back to this, is Abigail Brand.
Yup.
Heiress of Brand Corporation, I suppose. If you've read comics, she's generally is the other green-haired lady. Yes.
She's usually like involved with like sword or intergalactic threats towards the Earth.
Because she is not fully human.
Right.
She is part human mutant and she's part alien. So she is a sword agent. Sword is like, if you don't know anything about sword, because we don't talk about it.
The Sentient World Observation and Response Department.
There it is.
It's like S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's S.H.I.E.L.D., but in space.
Yeah, it's Space S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. And you're like, wait a second, that sounds cooler. Why don't they always do that? And to which I could only respond, I don't know, because it is cooler and they should always do that. Like, it's ridiculous. She isn't really an X-Men, despite being a mutant. She is sword agent first. Her loyalties are to space, really, and herself. She tries to recruit Beast into Sword frequently.
Well, of course, because he's a brilliant man.
Yes. And during AVX, she sided with, so that's Avengers versus X-Men. She sided with the Avengers.
Of course she did.
And because she,
I mean, in all fairness, if you're a sword agent, the Phoenix Force is going to be like, if you have a board of like huge galactic threats, the Phoenix Force is right up there.
It really is.
And if that's coming to Earth, out of the Avengers and the X-Men, you're going to side with the Avengers. I mean, I don't want to... Yeah. She's got a point on that
and
one.
I do believe Hank is on the Avengers side for this.
I can't remember.
I think he is. So it didn't matter. And also during AVX, in all fairness, she showed up and she was forced there by S.H.I.E.L.D., at this point, Sword, but she doesn't actually do anything. Yeah. She doesn't fight. She doesn't get involved. She just kind of stands in the back and like makes wisecracking jokes because that is who she is. I love
she's catty
and hate Abigail Brand. Like, truly, like, it's like all the worst parts of Trish Tilby, really, of this like selfish, self-centered person, but so utterly charming that you're like, I like her though. Like, I love me a sassy lady.
Sure.
James. She frequently talks about wanting to have children with Beast and how he reminds her of her dad.
Oh, so she also has red flags with that green hair.
She sure does. Abigail Brand is full of red flags. Okay. She is a villain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes.
And especially, well, okay.
I think the newest sword run she was.
I'm not 100% caught up, but during the Krakoa era where I was reading with Abigail, she is a villain. She allies with Orcus.
Yeah, that's bad.
So, and then she like died and was reborn, and that was an X-Men Red, and she escapes to Araco to avoid like being her comeuppance, I suppose, for betraying mutant kind. Abigail Brand betraying mutants is par for the course. She like barely sees herself as a mutant. She will take advantage of the opportunities that being a mutant will give her, like access to Krakoa, like access to Xavier and the X-Men and the Krakoa protocols. But at the end of the day...
Well, wouldn't you?
Well, correct. Right. If she was kind of more totally separated from the X-Men like Franklin Richards is, where he's like, he's in the Fantastic Four. Sometimes he sees the X-Men, but like that's only when they're portraying him as really young, and like he's a Fantastic Four character and he's just not involved. That's one thing. That's not how Abigail Brand is, though. Like, she is portrayed as somebody, and she also is quite a bit older, so that's important to note. But like, she seems meticulous, calculated, like she infiltrates, like she is a spy and will frequently spy on mutant X-Men run stuff because she has no loyalty to them, but then also will hang out with them and stuff because like she feels like,
which is the difference between her and like other mutants in the Marvel universe that aren't X-Men related.
Correct. Like she wants that like X-Men backup if she needs it because she sees it as a card in her pocket.
Sure.
And I think that's like a very interesting thing, like, because like what can you do as like Krakoa, right? Krakoa is open to all mutants. She is one.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? But she has no loyalty to you or anybody really. And Beast finds out the hard way. Like, though he gets a little spicy. So you're further ahead than I am.
Yeah.
So tell me about what happens here.
So this is mostly Krakoan X-Force, and I won't go into the whole thing, but in Krakoan X-Force, the X-Force is basically trying to protect Krakoa through shady means. Like they are the Black Ops, which they often have been.
Yeah. Sense cable.
Beast becomes proactive and starts trying to protect him before the things happen. And that's always a bad idea because he starts doing more and more morally gray things as the time goes on, almost becoming Dark Beast.
Yes.
Essentially. He does, at the end of the run, during like the fall of X, does go full on rogue and wants to get rid of Arakko because it's a problem for mutants. But it's like he wants to shoot a black hole gun that will basically put them in their own pocket space, is kind of what's going on. It's this weird thing, but like everyone's like, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. It turns out that Sage had a Beast clone body that Beast had made in a no place tumor so that no one could find it but her. When Beast goes rogue, he wipes his backup from all the Cerebros except for one. That backup is from like his early New Defenders days when it's him and Wonder Man are like a team that they're a partnership that is like well established in the Marvel universe. That is the only memory that's there. So they back up this body with that old backup back when Beast was happy and a mutant activist and not evil.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you know how we can find Beast? Beast.
Yeah.
So they back him up, let him like wake him up, and he escapes, finds Wonder Man, and it's like, hey man, I need backup. Wonder Man, now a pacifist, is like, well, I don't want to fight whatever we do. So he chases him down, whatever. So both beasts end up having a face-to-face confrontation. Okay.
A fight with your younger self.
Essentially, except for they both look exactly the same. Now, at the beginning of this run, he was drawn closer to the gorilla ape that we're like the gorilla beast that we're used to. But as the run has gone on, it's sort of inconsistency in the drawing. I don't know if it's on purpose or not. He's starting to look more like old Beast. Like the original, like animated series Beast.
Yeah.
Now, it could be that they're trying to make him look like Dark Beast.
Right, which is from that.
Which is
Age of Apocalypse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when they give the new body looks like that too, they're facing off against each other and they both look like kind of older Beast, but it's sort of like a mix between the two. Anyway, they go to set the gun off. Wonder Man's trying to get rid of it. Like the current Beast decides to make one last heroic move and atomizes himself with his gun to make sure it doesn't go off on Arakko, leaving the clone Beast with the old backup.
Okay.
That is our current 616 Beast.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yes.
If you look at the new X-Men runs, like from the Ashes, post-Krakoa, he looks like classic Beast. They kind of just full on reverted him back to what, like, in a lot of people's opinions, the MCU is probably going to introduce that Beast, which they did in the Marvels.
Yeah.
That is they want them to be cohesive is what a lot of people are saying. And I agree with it. It's probably what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you are picking up, from the Ashes X-Men and you're like, why does Beast look like old Beast? I guess it's kind of that. It was never... Because he was resurrected a few times, and there's some other nonsense that I could go into, but long story short, there's no story.
Right.
It just kind of slowly happened through time.
Right. You're gonna have people no pricing this, and it's gonna be
probably
something.
Like there's a couple of the covers that look explicitly like it on the X-Force run.
Right.
But then when you open the book up, he doesn't have the Wolverine hairs, which is weird. But he doesn't have, like, Gorilla Beast had, like, it looked like less hair.
Right.
He looked like more skin, less hair. This one has more hair.
Right.
Which is just, it's not, I have no problem with it. It's just like that weird inconsistency that we're probably sticking with for now.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the
update on Beast's appearance.
I'm really curious. Like, I think that we're kind of past the era where we can have these, like, huge changes. Like, I don't think you're going to have, like, Beast revert to human permanently. Like,
no,
the way
I don't
that
think
it
you
went
can.
the other way.
No.
Like, back in the day. Just because, like, there's also, like, we're talking about, it's kind of getting away from comics, but it's true. It's about brand consistency now.
Yeah. No,
and
it is.
We're talking about movies. We're talking about that Disney. We're talking about, like, things are more solid now.
I mean, that Beast, like the first Blue Beast.
Yeah.
Everyone drew about the same.
Right.
I think they had trouble keeping Lion Beast consistent.
Yeah.
Between different the different artists. And then when they changed it again to the Gorilla Beast, I think they had even harder time. There was like not a real, it's not like when you have like an animation studio where they are like, this is how the character is drawn and everyone has to draw it the same way.
Yeah.
Because there's a little more interpretation, things get a little messy.
Slippery.
And I think this also is a way to, like, you know what? Just draw him the way he used to be and let's just stick with that. Mm-hmm. Please and thank you.
Yeah.
But then also brand consistency with the animated series and now them beginning the MCU, it's going to be that Beast.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what Kelsey Grammer looked like.
Yeah.
And less of what, because now Nicholas Hoult in First Class looks a little more feline.
He does. Which makes sense from the era that this is pulling
Which is
from.
fine. It's fine with that because, like, at the time that's what he looked like in the comics, but
right.
now everyone wants to go back to that 90s look.
Yeah, because they're, again, like, if you're gonna put that on movies and they've put out a cartoon, like, they want the characters to look the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's that.
Yeah. Well, those are the ladies. There are others, but these are the most important 6 in my opinion.
Yeah.
The ones that had, like, a little bit of, like, history and meat to them of, like, you might have seen them because they show up a lot.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, that wraps it up this week. I'm producer James.
And I'm Sasha.
And we'll see you for the next 10.